Hi folks, welcome to Bear Mountain today. Well, it's the middle of April. We got our asparagus delivered earlier in the week, but unfortunately when it was delivered we were in what they called an atmospheric river. So I don't know if folks had followed the weather news in Western Oregon in the last week or so, but we've had a huge amount of rain with a lot of flooding. So that kind of put a delay on getting things in the garden. We finally got to the point where we said, you know what, it stopped raining for a day and a half, so let's go ahead and plant this stuff. So the asparagus is going in our fenced garden area along the outside. Now all of this fencing, as we talked about in previous videos, is going to be replaced as we go through the course of the summer. So what we're going to do is we're building the beds so they're back away from the fence probably 6 to 8 inches. And there aren't going to be any sides to the bed and such that you know, wood or anything like that. These are just going to be strictly raised beds itself. So the first thing we did is we went through and we forked the area we're going to plant to make sure there's no blackberry roots or anything else in there that we don't want coming up. And now we're at a point where we're going to take the bow rake and we're going to just kind of even it up a bit between the inside and the outside. We're not going to plant the asparagus like a lot of folks do, because this is going to eventually be totally no dig. This is probably about the most digging we will do on these beds. It's the first time getting them back into shape. So what we're going to do is, after we have the beds laid out, we're then going to put the asparagus on top, space them out appropriately, and we'll have essentially 2 rows of 12, because we've got 24 plants. And then we're going to cover it with about 2 inches of compost. And then as during the course of the season the asparagus grows, we'll continue to build that compost level up even more and more. So the idea behind it is, instead of digging a trench and then, you know, backfilling the trench as the asparagus grows, we're putting the asparagus on top of the ground and then building the compost up on top of that. I think it'll work out pretty good. So let's get the bed raked out. We've already got it forked, and then we can lay out our asparagus plants.
About how long is your row?
It's approximately, I'd say 10, 20, it's going to be about 25 feet.
And that's going to
it'll
have...
be about 2 foot between the individual plants.
And so you said 24 plants.
Right. So what we'll do is we'll stagger them. We'll put like a plant here, and a plant here, and then a plant there. So it'll be like a zigzag pattern down the bed if you looked at it from the top. And the plants themselves will grow into each other, so that's why we're putting them at about 2 foot apart. So let's get started. Okay, so we got it raked out. We got a little bit of extra refuse here to throw in the compost pile. This is just some spare roots and other things that we don't want. So the next step now is to start to lay out our asparagus plants. So we're going to kind of eyeball this, what 2 feet is. I'm going to say 2 feet's roughly about like this. Maybe like this. Anyway, so we're going to kind of lay them out as evenly as we can, down to where that fiberglass rod is, down to there. So we'll start here and go to there. It's approximately about 24, 25 feet, and we'll get them all laid out. So we packed them in compost when we got them, and haven't looked at them for a few days, so I'm hoping everything is okay. Just basically kind of laid them in here. So probably the easiest thing to do would be to just kind of dump the crate and see what we got. Here is one of the plants. Oh, and they're looking real good. They've got little eyes on them right there. So we just need to get these guys sorted out, and they are almost ready to sprout. I should have 24 of them. These are nice, big, healthy roots. The variety I think is called Millennium, and so it's supposed to be make some really good spears. Looks like every single one of these guys has at least 3 eyes on them that I've seen so far. So that's really good. 3 eyes.
And some of these guys are really ready to pop. This has changed dramatically just in the last few days. Oh, and our field kitty is here to inspect. Oh, yeah, you're my friend now, huh? Why don't you go hunt something? Huh? You just want free food? Is that what you're into? Alright, you gotta back it up, bud. You gotta get all these guys laid out. Okay, so while we're sorting this out, we'll go to the next step of the layout. So, we're also gonna have to get some compost from the compost bin to cover these guys up. So let me just get these guys sorted out, and then we'll skip to the layout section. Wow, look at that. Okay, we've got them roughly spaced out. Now, before we actually begin to cover them with compost, what we're going to want to do is to take the tips, where the growing tips are, and kind of just spread it out, just kind of like a mop. Want to spread the roots out the best we can, kind of space them around. And some of the roots may touch other roots, but I think that'll be all right. And then once they're we get them all laid out like that, then the next step is we just take compost like this and just kind of cover them. Pat them down, and we'll make sure we put about that much over the top so it keeps the roots from drying out, and these guys should take off. And as they grow, they get up to about this high, we'll put a little more compost in. They get this high, we'll put a little more in over the course of the season. So by the end of the season, I'm hoping that we have roughly about 4 inches over the top of these guys. I don't want to go really too much more than that, 3 to 4 inch, because then the next year they're going to grow through that. So before they, when they start to sprout next year, we can't harvest on these guys for probably a couple, 3 years.
Oh.
Yeah, that's the thing, is it's kind of like, growing peonies. You put them in the ground and you got to kind of nurse them along.
What a bummer.
Yeah, we just want to get enough compost over the tops of these guys so they root well and they don't dry out. We've got irrigation line we'll put in the back. That'll be another video to show you how we connect this up, but we'll put drip lines over this so it'll keep it nice and wet during the, damp. Plenty of moisture during the summertime. And so we'll take some still photos here, and let's get them lined out, and then we'll show you the actual putting the compost on. Okay, we've got the plants laid out, and we've got them growth tips up, which is very important. And we were talking about how long it's going to be before we can harvest anything. It's like, are we going to get anything out of this spring? And the asparagus is an investment. It takes a couple of years for the root system to get well established and the crowns to get to a certain size, because when you start harvesting on these guys, you're taking away the energy they had stored in the roots over the winter time, because what you're going for is those brand new sprouts. And so at that point, the plant hasn't had any photosynthetic activity for probably a couple, 3 or 4 months. But that's also what makes those tips taste so sweet. And you also want to, the larger the plant, it's going to be a little bit bigger the actual stem itself. So what you can end up with if you harvest them too early, you start on them right away, the plant won't be able to generate enough energy in its root system, and it'll never really get to the size that it should be. The idea on this is this asparagus bed is going to give us asparagus for probably the rest of the time we live here. Another 20 years at least, assuming we live here 20 years. But if it's taken care of, it should produce really well. With these 24 plants, they'll fill in this area. Wouldn't surprise me at all. In 4 or 5 years, we'll be dividing a few plants out to say, hey, let's put in another bed someplace else. So asparagus, like a lot of things on the farm, when you're talking about sustainability, not everything should be an annual. You know, we should have perennials in here, nuts and fruits and perennial vegetables that you know, you can, you know, harvest on, and you don't have to replant every year. So anyway, the next step is we're going to put a couple inches of compost. This is our own stuff, so it's got all kinds of twigs and other kinds of things in here. What we're going to want to do is cover the roots well and put about an inch or two right over the top of that crown. Hopefully we don't pack any weeds or stuff like that. And this was the stuff I just temporarily had stored the roots in, so that's why I'm taking it out of this crate. But I want to make sure all the roots are covered. And that we get it well done all the way down. So this is the first couple of ones. So, show you our compost. Just got from the bins right behind the garden here. Excuse my posterior. This is the material that we made last year. It's well decomposed. It's almost like potting soil in a sense. It's been probably 9-10 months since it was made. And what we'll do is we'll just put enough over every root. So anyway, you get the picture of what we're doing here. We're going to cover this up. The rain's going to puddle it in. We're not going to worry about it. Just keep an eye on it. Make sure that, you know, nothing gets uncovered until the asparagus have a chance to sprout, probably really soon based on the way those tips look. And then we'll just apply a little more compost a couple more times during the year to build that level up to a couple 3 inches above the crown itself. As the plant grows this year, it's going to put up nice little asparagus ferns, and it'll continue to grow its crown and its root system. So I hope you enjoyed this video. Kind of an easy, no-dig way of planting asparagus. You don't have to break your back and dig a hole. This should easily be a real productive bed for many years. And I want to thank you today for watching. And if you're new to our site, please subscribe. And leave a comment if you feel like it. Otherwise, I want to thank you for watching and have a good day. Bye.
Bye.